So you guys know I have I have a history of traveling to China. I speak Chinese. I am a sinophiliac. I've studied Kung Fu since I was 20. I am now 53. Growing up, I was very sad when I was 8 years old, and I found out after I'd been watching Bruce Lee movies for a couple of years that he had died when I was 3 years old. I went through a minor depression when I found that out. And then Brandon's death hit me. It's just, I still have an issue. I love The Crow, but it's hard for me to even listen to the soundtrack or look at poster images. It's just tough. I love it so much. Anyways, and Brandon and his dad and Shannon, just good people, and it's really sad. Grew up that way. So I'm always fascinated when people come on television and tell me what's going on in China and what the Chinese people think from their point of view, especially on Fox News or Newsmax, or God forbid, Tucker Carlson. This is Fox Business. This is closing out. A Chinese fighter comes within feet of an American aircraft. Everything can be measured in feet. Thousands of them. But here we go. What style Kung Fu? Kung Fu Sansu and Wushu. Yeah. So there you go. Let's go.
Joining me now to react is KT McFarland, former deputy.
Oh boy. Someone's been dipping into Eric Bolling's marzipan.
National Security Advisor, author of Revolution Trump. KT, what a pleasure to see you in person here.
Yeah, Revolution Trump. Trump, Washington, and We the People is the actual name. He just blew off the rest of it. Revolution Trump is a way better name, KT McFarland. I would change it if I were you. You can sell the same book to all the same people. They didn't read it in the first place. Just change the cover, barely. Just put his name bigger. You're welcome.
You're in studio.
Awesome.
Happy New Year to you.
New Year.
All right, what's China up to?
Yeah, what is China up to?
Ooh, China has every intention of becoming the new superpower in the world, replacing the United States, and then rewriting the rules of order to its advantage. And it's making no secret about it. It plans to do this economically, technologically, militarily.
Yes, using the economics, the technology, and the military technology of other countries in the process. Yeah.
Culturally, politically, diplomatically, and it's well on its way.
Psychosexually, intellectually.
But they are.
And no, it's not well on its way. It might have been 8 years ago. Now, not so much.
Are right now getting slammed by COVID. They ripped the bandage off of that stupid zero COVID policy they have.
Yeah, this is how they're going to jump ahead. They're going to kill off all their old people so they don't have to spend money on their health care.
And they're stuck now with hospitals that are overrun. They might have more than 1 million people die. Isn't that going to affect their ability to do anything outside their border?
Nah.
Oh, I think that actually it might have the opposite effect. It was actually Lenin who said if you have a problem at home, create a problem abroad, and then people will focus on the problem.
Yeah, but he meant like political strife, not an infectious disease. Notice during the Dark Ages, when the Black Plague was affecting everyone, nobody went, now would be a good time for a war.
Problem abroad, and they'll accept what's happening at home.
You know what the problem is? I got a problem with abroad.
So I think Xi Jinping becomes more dangerous in 2023.
And a problem at home, I mean, to put it in that phrase, when over 1 million people might die as a result of this COVID?
They've lost 17 million already. You don't believe the actual number, do you? Fuck off. They're going to lose 13 in the next year.
What happened? Because China and Xi Jinping said, look, we're the guys who understand how to have an effective government. Authoritarian government is how to deal with the modern world and COVID crisis, et cetera, et cetera. So he said, here's how we're going to do it.
Okay, this is going to be good. Here we go. So we needed somebody to break this down for us. And we had somebody, now we have one, folks, it's one of the best people. Hashtag the best people.
And they never vaccinated people.
Right.
They developed a vaccine.
Yeah, they did. They just vaccinated the wrong people with a with a vaccine that only works for one strain.
That really didn't work. And so they have
Sinovac.
That's Sinovac that nobody wants. And so they have zero herd immunity. It's racing through the population. They have no social safety net in the sense of health care that would be what we would consider adequate health care. Their hospitals are being overrun.
But keep in mind, this woman was just telling you that China is focused on becoming the dominant superpower in the world, and they're well on their way. Because this is the only area that the CCP is fucking up. Everything else is running like a Swiss fucking watch. It's just the pandemic thing is just a little off. Jesus.
And they have an alternative. Can they lock the whole society down again? They're having massive demonstrations and protests when they lock the people down. And they don't just...
So you're telling me it's not working?
Lock them down and say, we're going to give you a slap on the wrist. I mean, they're having guns and people with guns going to door to say,
but
we'll shoot you.
They may not care about the humanity of this. I mean, to us, thousands of people dying would be something we'd have to stop the nation for. To them, 1 million people.
Whoa. Hey, hang on there. 1940s Disney dad skin over the body of Bill O'Reilly. No, you wouldn't be okay with it. People were dying. Thousands were dying, and you guys didn't give a fuck. What are you talking about? Like, well, if we had thousands of people dying here, we'd probably be pro-lockdown. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, that's just a number. It's just a statistic. However, they do care about the economy, and they may have to shut down a lot of these, particularly the foreign companies that they have, the foreign manufacturing centers.
Oh, my God. The paint by numbers discussion here is going to drive me fucking crazy.
Centers they have. So, I mean, this could...
They might have to do business and not do with Americans and foreign things because dollars flowing in, better dollars flowing out. Money also factories.
Seriously,
the manufacturing center of the world
affect their ability financially to, for example, their designs on Taiwan. They might not be able to do in 2023 what they had been planning to do earlier.
They weren't planning on doing it in 2023. They're aiming out at 2025 or 2027. That's the whole fucking point.
That's right. The knock-on effects of this COVID crisis will be big because not only will they have problems when they shut down their economy, but other companies and countries are looking to say, oh, we can't reliably do business in China.
What was I saying a fucking year ago? What was I saying? What was I saying a fucking year ago? This woman worked in the fucking White House as a deputy national security advisor to the President of the United States. Christ almighty. They are saying words.
We also have the idea that the United States is having an economic competition. Maybe it's time to move our stuff out of China. Maybe we move to Southeast Asia. Maybe we move to South America.
China's in Southeast Asia, but never mind.
But maybe we just move out of China. So I think that's all.
Yeah, maybe. Wait a minute. Maybe. Let's take a look at that. Maybe there's a maybe there. If I may. Maybe there's a maybe. Hold on one second. Because many of you that follow me on Twitter, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I haven't reset in a long time, and I apologize. Here you go. I posted this article earlier today. This is from Politico. Give me 1 second. Bring this up. Scroll it here. A sea change. Biden reverses decades of Chinese trade policy. Again, the talking point that the Republicans were counting on to use against China, against Biden, that he is beholden to China, is dying a shitty death right now. Just a long, painful death, and it was never real in the first place, but the talking point itself is talking about forget tariffs. Biden actions to crack down on Beijing's tech development will do more to hinder the Chinese economy and divide the two nations than Trump ever did. Hey, maybe it's because Biden never had a bank account there. Maybe if he'd had a bank account there like Trump did, it would be a little closer. After decades of U.S. efforts to engage China with the prospect of greater development through trade. The era of cooperation is coming to a screeching halt. The White House and Congress are quietly reshaping the American economic relationship with the world's second largest economic power. By the way, I refute wholeheartedly the belief that China is the world's second largest economy because, again, the way I like to put it is, let's say you and your husband or wife have 2 kids and you have $1 million. And your neighbors have, it's a husband and wife, and they have 980,000 kids and $1 million. Do you think both of you have comparable lifestyles, comparable money for, I don't know, fixing repairs on your house or expanding or moving to a better place? Can you save for a college fund? The distinction between the populations of both countries should factor into the establishment of which one has a stronger economy. Because quite frankly, all these other, like the Northern European countries, minus Russia, obviously, but like Sweden and Norway, and all, they have much bigger economies compared to their population, which raises the lifestyle and the longevity and the health and welfare of their societies, making them stronger economies than just a big economy with a lot of fucking people. That's ridiculous. Like, I've always, that comparison has always bothered me. But if they're basically 2/3 of the American economy with 4 times the people, allegedly. The White House and Congress are quite, okay, wait, here we go. The new federal rules, executive orders, and pending legislation aimed at China's high-tech sectors, which began this fall and will continue to 2023, are the culmination of years of debate spanning 3 administrations. Taken together, they represent an escalation of former President Donald Trump's tariffs and trade disputes with Beijing that could ultimately do more to slow down Chinese technological and economic development and divide the two economies than anything the 45th president did while in office. You really have seen a sea change in the way we're looking at our relationship with China, says Cleet Willems, who helped design China economic policy in the Trump White House as Deputy Assistant to the President for International Economics and Deputy Director of the National Economic Council. Fuck, that dude had a long job description. The Biden administration views Chinese indigenous innovation as a per se national security threat, and that is a big leap from where we've ever been before. Well, that's because all use of the word indigenous aside, the technology that they're using to get ahead ain't theirs. Some of it ain't even ours. Some of it's stolen from the Netherlands and from Austria and other countries, the UK.
Also going on. But Xi Jinping has made it very clear that he plans to have China have complete sovereignty over Taiwan while he is president. And he's in his 70s, so he doesn't have a whole lot of time left. But he's got less than he thinks. Calendar, and he's planning to do it. And whether it's this year or next year or the next 2 or 3 years, but it's not 20 years from now. So he's on the move.
And he does now have...
So he's on the move. You know what's also on the move? American, Japanese, Australian, and UK submarines. They're doing fucking laps around the island. There are American Marines on the fucking beach. If the Chinese attacked right now, right this very second, they would have to kill US Marines in the attack. It ain't gonna happen. And by the way, the Taiwanese are moving a good many of their industries, like a version of them, to the United States. So even if China decided to bomb them in this process, they would still have money coming in from TSMC and other companies.
Russian oil. I mean, the Russians are saying, okay, fine, we'll sell our oil to China, maybe at a little discount, but the fact is they...
30%. Under the cap. $20 a barrel lower than cost. Why do I have to memorize this shit? I'm a fucking comic. I'm a comedian. I was singing a song off of Lick It Up the other night. And I have to memorize the percentages by which the Russians are undercutting their own sales of oil just to keep the pipes flowing? Good God. This is torture.
They can offload the oil.
But I love you guys, and I'm happy to do it. That's true.
That they can't necessarily sell in Europe anymore. And today you had this extraordinary video conference between President Xi and President Putin, and they were talking about a new world order that'll be led by their two countries. I mean,
by the way, do you think we'll see a Jimmy Dore or Russell Brand video about the Putin-Xi New World Order? Do you think Alex Jones is going to do a video about the New World Order that Xi Jinping and Putin are putting forward? No. No, of course not. Because it has nothing to do with the world order. They're in the business of shitting on their own country. Well, Russell's British, but the West in general, and when it comes to Russell, while living safely in its fucking bosom.
how serious do you take all this?
When I was in the Nixon, Ford, and Reagan administrations,
that should tell you something.
the whole thought of a Sino-Soviet, Chinese-Russian alliance was what drove American foreign policy. We knew that was the nightmare scenario.
Yeah, but that was because of the ability for, like, if Russia was able to put factories in China instead of the rest of the world to make, like, consumer goods, they would use it as it was the USSR. It was a fucking satellite. It's two communist countries working together to kind of create stuff and like flood the market with goods that were cheap and ruin the economy because they didn't give a fuck and all this stuff. The USSR died in 91. None of those policy considerations make any fucking sense today. China in its current state is this bizarre mix of kleptocratic, false, like crony capitalism and forced and slavery, not even communism, fucking slavery. The Russians are kidnapping people because they're running out of humans. This is not what they were talking about. God damn.
In those days, we thought that the Soviet Union was the dominant partner and China the junior partner. Now they plan to flip it on its head. And
no, they don't. Just Putin doesn't feel like he has any choice.
a combination, just think about this, it's the combination of Chinese technology, Chinese money, Russian military, and Russian natural resources.
Okay, until you got to oil and gas, none of that shit works. Literally, that's a nightmare scenario. Imagine if she was saying about this pairing with the United States. Imagine the United States using Chinese technology. You see what I'm going? Imagine if the United States had the Russian military. It's terrible. Yeah, I can imagine that. It would fucking suck.
That is a very potent and powerful combination.
But that
no, it is not.
Never happened during the Cold War.
No.
In fact,
Russia never happened during the Cold War, you dumb fuck. It didn't exist.
fought. And
Yeah.
you even wrote a PhD thesis about that fight back in the 1960s.
1969,
The
that's
border
1969.
fights that they
Yeah,
had between
yeah.
the Soviet Union and China.
By the way, that's never gone away. That's still a rubbing point in their relationship. China thinks it owns more of Russia's land than it does. Russia thinks it owns more of China's land than it does. Still to this fucking day.
How wouldn't they have the same problem this time if they tried to come together?
Well, it depends.
Yes, they are.
I mean, you know, I think it's a marriage of convenience. Nobody loves each other in this situation. I can't. I can't. I don't understand what this is. You can't set up. Oh God. They have no idea. They have fucking no idea. They just don't. They haven't read anything new about either of these fucking countries since 1987. That's the only reason any of this could make fucking sense. Why? Look, Fox Business, have on Serpent ZA or Laowai 86, because at least they've been there in the last fucking 20 years. Holy shit. This is like the dumbest breakdown about this. And again, this woman was a deputy national security advisor in the last administration. Yeah, she goes all the way back to Nixon, but she was still there during Trump when, by the way, everybody's like, oh man, the hardest thing ever. Oh gosh, this is. Meanwhile, Biden is fucking dunking
on China, on the CCP in particular, daily in extraordinary ways, especially when it comes to technological intellectual property. Stuff Trump never went anywhere near, either because he didn't give a fuck and he wanted to help them and he was going to make money on the backside, which is entirely possible, or he's just too stupid to even consider the issue.
It's a marriage of convenience, and the Chinese have their eye on the Russian resources, particularly in the eastern Siberia, where where the oil and natural gas is. It's a very sparsely populated area on the Russian side of the border. It's more heavily populated on China's side of the border. I think at the end of the day, China's going to say, okay, we'll help you, Russia. We might even help you out of the mess that you're in, but we want that oil.
I'm getting a wrap, so it's got to be real quick.
Oh, my God. They're going to drink Russia's milkshake, apparently.
But Putin is using Iranian drones in Ukraine, and apparently 80% of those
and by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene is fine with that.
Drones come from U.S. materials.
No, they don't. They steal stuff from fucking printers and like computer parts and leftover things and second-gen shit that's sold and resold on the market. Washing machines and all kinds of shit. We don't design the fucking things, and the chips are multi-purpose. Oh God! You know how I hate when dumb people make smart people movies like Limitless. This aggravates me. They're about to talk about like technology and computer parts and like the ability to modify circuit boards and control systems. Fucking look. At some point, somebody didn't have on the sanctioned list Raspberry Pi computers. Computer boards, as Trump would call them. And with those things, you can make nary anything of the level that we're seeing in the Ukraine conflict and in Iran. Holy shit. Yes, and most of these suck.
They put them together, but 80%. Is there anything we can do about that?
I think we can do. There's a lot we can do about it.
Let's hear it. Yeah. Well, there's a lot we can do. We're not, because Biden wants us to die.
We have the ability to stop the technology transfers. It's not just that we sell it to this company and who knows what happens next. We're supposed to be able to track that stuff, and we certainly should be able to now. We should track.
What stuff, dummy? We're not talking about the 4 nanometer semiconductors. This is the stuff they make those drones out of is toy level. They literally can get the parts you're talking about by going to Brazil and shopping. There's a bunch of fucking Teddy Ruxpins with a leaf blower attached.
Going to this company, it should never be in the hands of our adversaries, whether it's Iran, Russia, or China.
By the way,
Well said. Super smart. Honestly. Well said. So good. Yeah, they all got him at a Radio Shack that was going out of business.
Iran deal dead in 2023?
Yes, it's already dead. Biden already said it's dead.
Sure hope so.
Yeah, we all do. KT, thank you very much for being here. Great to see you.
Yeah, we all learned so much. I feel dead inside. I feel like there's a hole in my brain where those words like burrowed in like a sandworm. I ate them.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's so good. All right, hold on. Cancel.